We are back for episode 3 of our beloved anime series. It's time to talk about the demon who would not die. In the last episode, we saw the main character, Masamune, get mortally wounded, but he was saved at the last second by his dear friend and fellow swordsman, Hanya. He then sealed her away in an ice sculpture to preserve her, until they could find a way to cure her. They did manage to find a way, but sadly, it took many years to accomplish. As the story begins, we see that the Meiji Restoration has begun, and Japan is now starting to embrace Western technology like trains and electricity. But as these new technologies spread across the land, so does the influence of the demons, who have learned to make use of them. This new evolution of sorcerers is actually the reason why Masamune had to go into hiding, to protect himself from being killed by one of them. It's now been 5 years since we last saw Masamune, and he is much more worn down by this point. But he is still living out his days by taking care of his late sister's grave. One day, while tending to her grave, he sees a young girl around his sister's age walking by, and he can't help but follow her to see where she goes. Meanwhile, on the other side of town, a group of Western missionaries are doing their best to spread the word of God, but they are also working on something else. In secret, using the knowledge and tools brought over from Europe, they are creating weapons to fight against the demons. Back with Masamune, he finds the girl from earlier at a train station, and he soon realizes that she is actually a demon who has taken human form. The train arrives, and she gets onto it with 2 others. And when the doors are about to close, Masamune jumps in just in time. It quickly becomes clear that the 2 men in the car with the demon girl know who Masamune is, and they want him dead. A fight breaks out, and we learn that these guys are sorcerers who are augmenting themselves with demonic energy. They call themselves Clockwork Devils. They can use mechanical limbs and weapons powered by steam. The fight spills over to the outside of the train, where Masamune uses his sword to slice the boiler of the engine. Steam erupts, and the demon inside is forced to abandon its vessel. It tries to flee, but Masamune cuts it down, sending its head flying through the air. As it dies, it tells Masamune that he has killed only its body, and that its spirit will live on forever. And true to its word, the demon's spirit returns to the body and it rises again. Just before it attacks, Masamune loses consciousness and falls off the train. He wakes up on the ground moments later and stumbles home. As he looks back, he sees the train carrying the resurrected demon speed away into the distance. Flashbacks show us that the demon that Masamune fought was not the first one. In fact, he has been having visions of these steam demons for months now, and he has already killed several of them. Days pass, and Masamune grows weaker from his wounds. He needs help, but he knows that no one could possibly help him. That is when he decides to visit his old master. However, upon arrival, he learns that his master has died of old age. Before dying, Masamune's master passes on his final weapon to him, an extremely needle-thin blade called the Fang of Twilight. He says that it is meant to pierce the spirit directly, and that it is his last hope against the demons. With renewed determination, Masamune sets out once again to slay the demons. He soon finds one in a seedy bar and challenges it to a duel. However, it easily defeats him and taunts him by saying that he has grown weak. To prove it wrong, Masamune uses all of his strength for one final attack and manages to land a hit, but not enough to kill it. It escapes and runs away. Masamune collapses from exhaustion and is found by some children who take him back to their home. One of them is the young girl he had seen earlier, and she nurses him back to health. She reveals her name is Ayam, and that she is actually half demon. She says that she lives with her grandmother and grandfather, who adopted her after they found her abandoned as a baby. Ayami's grandfather is actually the leader of the secret group of Western missionaries. He explains that he and his fellow priests have been fighting demons for a long time, but they have never been able to win. However, they believe that Masamune might be the answer, because he is the only known survivor of the Shimazu clan, a family of demon slayers. Now that Masamune is healed, he agrees to help them in their holy war against the demons. He goes with them to their secret base, which is actually an old church that they have turned into a laboratory. There they show him a strange device and tell him that they have captured one of the steam demons. However, it suddenly breaks free and attacks them. Masamune draws his sword and prepares to fight, but the demon simply walks through his blade like it's made of smoke. When it tries to stab him, he sees an opportunity and counters, managing to land a hit that sends it flying backwards. It crashes into a table covered with electric wires and explodes, killing itself in the process. They bring in the captured demon and try to perform an exorcism, but they need to transfer the demon's spirit into a vessel first. They decide to use one of the priests as a temporary host. They begin the ritual, but before it is finished, the church is attacked. Clockwork devils wearing armor charge inside and start killing everyone. Masamune steps in and tries to stop them, but he is overwhelmed and badly injured. Ayam arrives just in time to save him. She reveals that she has powers and that she has been training them in secret. She fights alongside Masamune, but they are still almost defeated. Suddenly, the Fang of Twilight glows brightly and its power seems to amplify Masamune's own abilities. He manages to defeat the Clockwork Devils and questions what is happening. Ayam says that the Fang of Twilight recognizes her as its master, and that it is transferring its power to her. She confronts the leader of the Clockwork Devils, who reveals himself to be someone that she knows. His name is Tadanari, and he is actually Ayami's older brother. He explains that he was turned into a Clockwork Devil by the same demon that attacked them earlier. Yashinokami Tadanari attacks, but Ayam easily defeats him and he is forced to retreat. As he leaves, he vows revenge and says that she won't be able to defeat Yashinokami on her own. He disappears, leaving Ayam feeling saddened by what has happened to her brother. Just then, a screen lights up behind him, revealing Yashinokami. It speaks to Ayam and says that she is very strong, but that she cannot win. It introduces its master and a mastermind behind the recent events on Mitoji. Yashinokami says that it is time to begin the Cairo project, and it disappears. On the screen, leaving Ayam confused by what it means, the episode ends with her looking out at the city, wondering what she must do next.